they come, you will run, but you cannot hide. Gave them AI, gave them satellites. When the robots come, you will close your blinds. Only when people die, they will ask why. When they come, you will run, but you cannot hide. Gave them AI, gave them satellites. When the robots come, you will close your blinds. Only when people die, they will ask why. When they come, you will run.
It's just great timing for China to unveil a new naval chief as maritime tensions are climbing. Now, we have talked about how China has basically changed out their whole government in a lot of ways. They've actually changed out a lot of positions, and by they, I mean Xi Jinping has personally picked a wartime kind of academy as the people that are running right under him. We've also covered some of the strange stories about how some of the people that are right under Xi Jinping have either disappeared or been swapped out overnight. Some of them are actually just straight up MIA. But now Xi is unveiling a new naval chief. It says unveiled a new head of its navy, a move that comes amid worsening tensions in the South China Sea. Hu Jianming was promoted to the rank of general at a ceremony in Beijing attended by President Xi Jinping on Monday, December 25th, the official Xinhua news agency reported. The article marked the first time that Hu was publicly referred to as commander of the world's largest navy by a number of vessels. China's military is known for providing few details on personnel key moves. It says the report didn't say what is next for Dong Jun, who appeared as the head of the Navy in 2021. Dong has also attended the ceremony, according to the Xinhua photo. The change comes as China flexes its muscles in the South China Sea, which Beijing claims as its own. And in the Taiwan Strait last week, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told Philippine counterpart Enrique Manalo that the relations between the two countries are now facing serious difficulties following maritime confrontations. That's, of course, referencing what we covered over the last week and a half, where they actually had, they rammed a boat, they took their crazy high-powered hoses, normally, the kind of hoses that cargo ships fight off pirates with. Those were used to spray Philippines' supply boats. You can actually injure. Some people have actually died being sprayed with those kind of hoses. It says the dispute was recently focused on the second Thomas Shoal, where vessels from the two nations have faced off over the Philippines' attempts to resupply a vessel it grounded there in 1999. The grounded vessel straight up looks like something from, a Castaway movie or, Gilligan's Island. It is a boat where Filipinos actually live, and they're living there on purpose to cement their claim. We've talked about that ship a lot, and it's kind of funny that this small little ship is causing this huge worldwide debate about what is going on in the South China Sea. But it's really important because that area, China has already wrote a map, and they've said, this is our waters. The world is not accepting that, but China just keeps on growing to the point where they'll just say, we don't care what you think, and we don't care what international waters are, because we're basically going to enforce our laws here, and our ships and our navy will take you out if you enter. So lots of crazy stuff going on. We're going to talk about this and much more. We're going to talk about some of the crazy things that just happened over the last couple of days. Rocket remnants are possibly going to fall into the South China Sea. Very strange things. I'm going to give my newer opinion on MH370, the Malaysia flights. That's something personal that I wanted to go over. And then, of course, a Tesla robot attacks an engineer at the company's lab. This is like straight out of a movie. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Satellites and the robots come, you will close your blinds. Only when people die, they will ask why. When they come, you will run, but you cannot hide. Give them AI, give them satellites and the robots come, you will close your blinds.
All right, remember, we have a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that is going to be shown here tonight. So you have access to that over on marfooglenews.com. You can also find, of course, all of our other shows and a full archived backup of all of the articles we've talked about over the last 4 or 5 years. So make sure to go use that. And then, of course, there is a search bar up in the upper right-hand corner. You can utilize that as well. You can also find our friends/mods. Now, when you click on friends, you will actually find all of our links for our mods and all of our wonderful friends on YouTube. Now, the mods are doing an awesome job of keeping it peaceful down in the chat and also helping Foogle family members find resources or websites or links to things that they need to find. They are always very, very helpful, but mainly they are there for the community. Again, the community is the best part of this, and I do want to say Merry Christmas to all of you and a Happy New Year coming up very soon. And I do want to thank especially everybody that participated in that Christmas video. Again, that was very, very awesome. I will probably play that maybe over on Jams or at the very end of this show, and I'll play that again. That is on this channel, and it was aired on Christmas Day. So if you want to watch that, it was really fun. I'm super, super happy that everybody joined us. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we have, do you want to go over, in fact, I'll have you go over the carrier USS Carl Vinson back in the South China Sea after Singapore visit.
Well, this is kind of alarming, at least in the sense that we now know that it's back, and it had gone to Singapore. I think we had reported last month that that's where it was. So now that it is back in the South China Sea, I guess that opens up the opportunity, so to speak, for actions to happen. So I guess U.S. and which covers this type of news, trying to cover where the carriers are seen or where the carrier groups are seen, is reporting that it's now back in the South China Sea. I know this date on here is not correct that you see on the screen. It always happens when they format their pages, but this is recent. So this is a recent sighting that it's now left the Singapore area, and it's now back in the South China Sea theater, which I guess, as we think about the escalations that have happened recently with the Philippines, as we just talked about the new leader that's been announced or at least referred to by China over the naval group there, and specifically talking about the efforts in the South China Sea. As we rewind maybe a week and a half ago to our Department of State putting out a reminder that we will back and support the Philippines on any action, and even referring to the recent actions where they rammed one of the Philippine ships as an action that would require us to support them and support in the way of acting to prevent any more hostile actions. All of this is sort of coming to a head. If that carrier group's now back in that position, in addition to others that we may have, other resources we have in the area, in addition to the Philippine Navy that's in that area, I'm sort of concerned about what does this mean from the potential for an escalation, specifically in the South China Sea. And we've sort of said, hey, that will make a logical presentation to do something there and make it easy for China to then swoop into Taiwan, especially if they can get maybe even a distraction going up in the north with North Korea and South Korea, and then something in the South China Sea. It'll probably make it real easy for them to just go right into Taiwan if we're distracted in two areas in the Pacific.
And there's there's massive exercises going on. We have Fugel family members, and then I have personal family members and friends that just got deployed. Two of my friends recently got deployed in the last 3 weeks, and they are going over to the Middle East. As far as we have a family friend that their son has now been deployed and then actually brought back and then redeployed. They were deployed to the Middle East. They were in the Navy on one of the ships. They actually got brought back for some reason for 2 days and then got redeployed to somewhere else. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now worldwide. And if you see the names involved here with all of the navies, you've got Australia, you've got the Republic of Korea, Singapore, the United Kingdom, Japan, Malaysia, all of these different partner nations are doing these massive drills. So this is all heading to some point, right? There's a good contingency of people that just don't believe that we're going to go to war at any point. The thing is, we've had proxy wars for the last couple decades, and proxy wars really have accomplished most of what, these big major state actors have needed to do as far as, assert their dominance around the planet. They could do a proxy conflict. Russia supports this side, the US supports this side, and it's these, but they use the soldiers and the people and the lives of those countries to get whatever they need done without risking the richer, more wealthier countries, soldiers or their armies. But that is coming to an end. There is a very obvious kind of set of clues here that are telling us that World War III has not only already started, it is well underway. It has been done via proxy wars this whole time. Now it is going into the stages where a direct confrontation cannot be avoided. And that is my opinion, again, and many others. And I think that people really have to accept that for them to kind of move on. Now, I know there's some of you that disagree with that, but I would say at the very least, please try to have some sort of backup plan if something goes down right now. We don't go with all the hype of dates and, the world is going to end on Thursday, but we will say this: anything could happen at any moment. Tomorrow or in 10 minutes from now, all the lights could go out, and I would not be surprised one bit. And that's why myself and many others like me are preparing for the moment where everything just kind of gets turned off. The most likely scenario is that our grid or our cyber abilities are stunted here in the US, whether that be the internet getting shut off or a major grid down event or something like it, or communications get cut in every fashion. This is something that people actually have to pay attention to. Many of your friends and family are not following this stuff closely, or at the very least, they'll kind of get scared day by day if they see something scary. But then the next day, the MSM tells them it's all fine. Pay your taxes, pay your bills. Everything's going to be okay, because they want the economy to keep running. They want everybody to just kind of pretend like everything is fine, but it is not. And it is getting worse and worse. You could call that pessimism, but at the same time, a lot of us are optimistic about our situation when all of this stuff goes down. In fact, a lot of preppers are very optimistic of, when this stuff goes down, a lot of us will be fine, or will at least be a lot better off than many people out there. So let me know what you think is going on. And if you know of, different deployments, you don't have to be specific, and you shouldn't be specific. But if you have heard of your friends or family recently getting deployed, and I mean like urgent deployments, just all of a sudden, getting shipped out, let us know. We would love again, the heads up. And I think that more and more people are going to know somebody who is deployed very, very soon. And then China warns rocket remnants to hit South China Sea. Now, I wanted to bring this up. It's crazy. They used the stock footage from all of the boats that they kind of chained together I do think that's part of a future plan of something that they will do when they end up cordoning off areas and entrapping countries. But I wanted to bring up MH370. Now, there's been a lot of stuff over the years that has come out about that. There was a documentary on Netflix about that, and if you did follow that, I know that many of you guys have followed that. I actually talked to somebody who they are close to that. They know somebody who actually went missing, and they fully were 100% sure that it was something to do with China and the US. Now, I actually watched, I think it was about a year ago, I watched a documentary that gave like 8 different theories on what happened with the MH370. But the more and more I thought about what they said with the whole China and the US and MH370, there was a lot of crazy stuff that was said about the flight. There was lots of crazy theories. The more and more that I thought of how many different kind of turns in relationships since that plane crash and since the whole ordeal with Russia back then, about 5 months later or 4 months later, Russia downed a plane, I believe in like near Kazakhstan or something. It was a Ukrainian plane or something like that, but they ended up taking it down with a missile. And that was also a Malaysian Airlines flight. And they hadn't had an accident since like the 90s. And all of a sudden, within 6 months, Malaysia Airlines has 2 planes essentially get destroyed or go missing. It's just super strange. To this day, it is one of the biggest mysteries in all of history. There's lots of crazy theories about, if it's even been found or not. They said, oh, well, they found a wing of it. They confirmed it. Well, lots of weird things about that too. When they found the actual part of the wing, the identifying numbers were missing. There was all sorts of things. And lots of the family members don't believe it. Now, when you go back to that time period, you will actually see that there was major changes in the relationships between China and the US. There was also major changes in how media covered things. There were major buyouts of media companies by China that essentially didn't allow negative talk about China. A lot of stories about how China was inputting on mainstream media and having them change. Some of the first stories that were public telling us how much China was investing in our media and being able to control it. There was a lot of stuff going on with drones before publicly they said that DJI and other brands, and even before Huawei, before all of that went down, you will see all sorts of craziness right around that MH370 in the South China Sea. So it's really crazy to think back to history and then to think where we have come from there and look at where we're at right now. It's absolutely nuts. But now they say that they warned that remnants of a rocket would hit an area in the South China Sea on Tuesday, following the 6th deployment of its most powerful launch vehicle 11 days ago. Rocket debris, which generally burn up in the atmosphere on re-entry, is expected to fall off the coast of China's island province of Henan but between 11 a.m. and noon, said the China Maritime Safety Administration. China launched a Long March 5 rocket on December 15th from Henan's Wenchang launch site, a 6th launch of the rocket type since its first flight in 2016. A variant of the rocket, the Long March 5B, was previously used to launch China's probe to Mars and also modules of its space station. So if you don't remember, the 3 parts of their space station were all launched using one of these big rockets, and all 3 of these pieces didn't know where it was going to land. So all 3 of those things you saw on the news about them tracking a Chinese rocket that was going to hit somewhere, could have hit the US or somewhere else, those were the big rockets that ended up taking up the space station, which is now complete. So I think it's odd that I don't know if this is the exact same one as that, but they talked about that. How did they know, why is this one not being tracked like the other ones? Dex, did you think about that? Like, is this the same kind that launched the space station? They mentioned that. Is this the same kind that the big rocket that launched that stuff? Why is this one not being tracked by a whole group of people And why is it unpredictable like the previous ones?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the exact answer to that, but the other question that got me thinking is what if this is a cover for them to do something in the South China Sea, and say, "Oh, by the way, we have this rocket debris falling in, and if somebody happens to get, hit, by something else, they could have just blamed it on that, and it may give them an advantage."
Well, and why isn't there, all this news about why is this one so predictable and all of the previous ones they had absolutely no idea? Now does their space station have the ability to track this stuff? Like how do they know that it's going to come in exactly there? It, are you guys following this? Did maybe there's other resources that or other groups that are actually following this thing? Why is there no question? Because last time it was like there was a 3-day period where it was going over the US, it was going over this, and it would go over all of us, right? The entire planet. It went around 3 times and then came and landed. Why is this one not talked about? Why were those 3 such a big deal? Why is this one not? And how do they know exactly where it's going to land and it's going to end up in the South China Sea? I don't know. Something about this doesn't sit right. We also covered last week that they had an experimental plane or experimental craft go up and launch 6 mystery objects or 6 mystery satellites. So those 6 mystery objects, they don't even call them satellites. They call them objects, A through F or A through G or whatever. Those objects, we still don't know what the heck those are. Those could completely be weapons. Those could be satellite killers for all we know. And they're still up there. It's super, super weird. What the heck is going to crash down in the South China Sea? Liz W says, thank you for all the wonderful job on the holiday wishes. Yeah, everybody did a great job. And I'm super proud to have the awesome community we do. Wages, thank you so much for doing the editing for that. Again, thank you. Thank you for all the mods that were in that. Especially thank you, Trinity, for doing that great piece in there. And then Miss Dragon, yours was very memorable. I think it was your pacing and how you said it. And Chance was in there as well. Thank you for you kicked that off. Thank you everybody that was in it, including Dex. So if you guys want to go see that, make sure to watch that video right after the show. And then Liz, thank you again for supporting our channel. Sir Constantino, KT Cleans a lot before the show even started, really. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. All right, without further ado, we're going to be moving on to the migrant caravan. And before we cover this, I do want to remind you right now, there are all sorts of really, really awesome sales going on for all of our affiliates. So make sure to go check. If you're watching the replay on this, make sure to be looking for the current sales. Either way, you're always going to get an awesome sale through our code on all of our affiliates. With this is the Energy Solar Generator. It's one of the best solar generators on the market. It's modular, meaning just like Lego, you can actually add bricks, either batteries or different mods that change the overall performance of it. It will add UPS. It can add supercharging. It's a very, very cool system. It is silent, meaning you can be the gray man and nobody's going to know you have power. You can run it inside. You don't have to store flammable gas. Also, you don't have to deal with gas stations when SHTF happens, and you'll have unlimited power when this is teamed up with solar panels. So go over to marfugglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. It helps our independent channel. We are on our own here, and again, we thank everybody that's gone through us, but you're also going to get one of the best solar generators on the market. This is actually the same generator company that is now going to be outfitting the Army. Energy is now making the Flex Tactical. You might have to wait a little bit longer for this one. This is in super high demand because it is now it has heaters in every battery. It's got a steel reinforced frame. It's got 1,500-pound latch system. This thing could basically fall off a truck and keep going. So if you want one of this is actually just won the SBIR Army Phase 2 contract. So it's going to be shipping out. So when they say Army tough, they are being serious. So if you want to get this one, you'll have to wait a little bit longer, but it is definitely worth the wait. It is a very, very cool unit, and it is very powerful, and you'll even be able to mix and match In the future, they're coming out with all of these different mods that allow you to mix and match the batteries with the original Flex 1500 or vice versa. So lots of cool stuff coming. And as they put out new mods, you're going to be able to add that to your machine. Again, it's a completely modular system that can be expanded up to 96 batteries. marfugglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Thank you, guys. And then, Dex, do you want to go over the migrant caravan?
Well, as we have been reporting, I think the one of the larger numbers that had come out was 14,500 people coming across. And that was just who were touched. In other words, they had encountered them, not the ones they didn't see, in one day. That's a staggering number. That's what we reported about a week ago, I believe, and that was just a single day. And we can assume that the numbers all around those days are probably just as high, if not higher, in some other days. So the problem down south there is just incredibly large at this point, and they're expecting to see a potential meeting between American and Mexican officials about this surge. And most people have little hopes of anything happening. And of course, oh, by the way, yet another, and this is not new news, these are always happening, but another caravan is working its way up. And that's what they're talking about. So they're kind of bringing together a couple stories here, but I think the one point is this has been, on the minds of a lot of people, especially since those massive numbers came out the other day about just how large the surge is at the moment. And I think we have to also take into account all of the reporting we've done and others have done and have not just speculated, but sort of looked at who is crossing and where they're coming from, and question what does that actually mean. Whether it's a significant number of people, which we saw staggering numbers coming in from Venezuela, which has ties to Hezbollah and Iran, and actually has very close ties with Iran with oil trade, or the number of Chinese, and mostly that have been presented look like military aged males coming across. And so a lot of people are questioning, what does that mean? Is there something else happening here? Especially with the massive amounts of numbers that are coming across. So definitely something we're going to continue to pay attention to. This just happens to talk about yet another caravan. I think this one's in the southern area of Mexico that's now working its way up. And they're hopeful, I think, they being, the reporters, they being the officials, that, both America and Mexico can come to some sort of agreement to do something about it. But nobody really thinks that's going to happen. They would like to see it happen, but they're not expecting it to.
So let's just take a quick vote in the chat. Do people think that, okay, how could we do this? Oh, maybe a 1, 2, and 3. 1, do you think that there is a high number of possible bad people that are actually having plans to do something to our country? Press 1. 2, if you think that there are not. And 3, do you think that there is a full-on army coming over the southern border? Do you think that they are planning some sort of invasion? Press 3. 1, if you think there are a lot of bad people coming over the southern border, possibly terrorists. 2, if you think it's not really that much of an issue, it's just a lot of refugees. And 3, do you think that there's a full-on army coming over the southern border? And that could also apply. 3 could be 1 and 3 together. I wonder what everybody is, where people are in. And then you can fill in an answer if you want to put that in there as well. But I am interested to see 1 and 3. Aunt Jenny. Yeah, I think that's kind of included too. Because, I mean, that's just the speculation about the U and the N. That's freaky. And they're not, this is the thing. Even senators and Congress people are talking about how there's actual flights coming in. This is the craziest part. 200,000 confirmed flying in and going to local airports. I mean, that's just nuts. They could actually sign up for an app. I'm not making this up. We actually shared this with the actual, the documents. that confirm that. We have that archived on our website. 1 and 3. It's really insane. If you're watching the replay here, the thing is if you were thinking this, you're not alone. And how would you not think that something is up with this? The last 5 years, the weird encouragement for this. It's really hard to actually trust some of the people in charge when you saw the messaging. You saw the messaging saying, "Come on over. Yeah, everybody. We should welcome everybody in." And what that did is it sent a reverberation around the planet, and everybody came from everywhere. But that also, and I'm sure that a lot of these people just want a better life. They want everything else. But they also, when they did that, they sent thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people in, which would also be a very good way to overwhelm the system and hide the 1 out of 10 that are here for other reasons. If you look at the men that are coming over, do you not find it strange that out of 30 people, it's 29, 18-year-old to 25-year-old men that are, shaved heads, buzz cuts? Like, come on, people. Maybe they're just doing it because it's hot in the southern border. It gets hot down there. Definitely want to do buzz cuts that all match. And to have camo pants on, 18 people in a row. They showed up to this caravan and they're like, "Oh my God, you're wearing the same outfit." I don't think so. And that's the crazy part. That what you and I and what a lot of us are thinking, it's what's really freaky. Do you ever think about this? Where you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is," you think in your head, "This is real. Like, this is actually happening. How could this be right?" That's what's so scary about it. Like, so many years, people have not thought any kind of invasion could ever happen in the U.S. We were geographically safe. We've got oceans on both sides. We've got all of these setups. But over the last 5 years, they've done something with this whole border thing that put us at a huge vulnerability. Over 5.3 million people, and this is as of last year, 5.3 million people, record-breaking numbers, came over. That is absolutely super strange. And it was all because of our actual government making statements that made that happen. It's all because of the lax laws that got put in place. It's all because of CV and everything all these things happened that all made this perfect storm. And now we have millions and millions of people. And then you also can't just put aside the fact that people are seeing actual workers bring people in and shop with them in Walmarts. Like, the speculation around this stuff is absolutely nuts. Again, a lot of this has been seen and confirmed and documented. So what the heck is really going on? It really is. It's freaky to think that some sort of Red Dawn situation not only could be in some movie, but could be in our country right now. You line up all the dots with what is going on with all the cyber threats, with solar winds, with weird things that have happened with California and other states, with our leaders, with people's pockets getting, greased, with people doing something that just completely goes against it. And then how our system, how the social media networks and certain social media networks have gotten us completely divided. The division looks like something that that Genghis Khan would have done. They would have sent in Genghis Khan sent in spies and different scouts to basically sow division and sow chaos, and people would be so busy fighting with themselves when Genghis Khan would roll in with his army, they would be the easiest, they could just take over the place like it was nothing, because they would let them do half of the work. If you trigger a civil conflict and they take out half of your enemies, well, that's certainly a much easier scenario to walk in on, rather than walking into a solid and together kind of nation that's ready for anything. Are we ready for anything right now? I don't think so. Is our economy and everything else, flailing like a kid that can't swim? Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. And then Indian Navy to deploy guided missile destroyer ships after strikes off its coast. So Indian Navy, India is lots of different highlights. Of course, the embassy over there, crazy thing happened. And it says that India's Navy will deploy guided missile destroyer ships in the Arabian Sea after an Israel-affiliated merchant vessel was struck off the Indian coast over the weekend in an effort to, quote, maintain a deterrent presence, it said late on Monday. The Indian Navy was investigating the nature of the attack on the vessel, MV Pluto, which docked in Mumbai on Monday. And initial reports pointed to a drone attack, the statement said. Further forensic and technical analysis will be required to establish the vector of attack, including type and amount of explosive used. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry on Monday called the U.S. claim that Iran had attacked the ship near India, quote, baseless. Which, who knows? If you really want like the truth of it all, there could be Fantastic Freddy's going on right now so we could take other countries out. Or maybe it's who knows? Maybe they could be plotting something for the good of our country, but they've got to do it in a horrible way. At least that's what they'll think, right? That's what they'll say. That's what they'll tell themselves. The Pentagon said on Saturday that a drone launched from Iran struck the MV Chem Pluto. What a weird name. MV Chem Pluto. Or is it the Chem Pluto? In the Indian Ocean, the strike came as the U.S.-led task force is trying to counter similar challenges in the Red Sea. So this was in a different part of the world. Super weird. Considering the recent spat of attacks in the Arabian Sea, Indian Navy has deployed guided missile destroyers, INS Mormugao, INS Kochi, and the INS Kolkata in various areas to maintain a deterrent presence, the Navy statement said. The Navy said a joint investigation of the attack was being carried out by various agencies after an explosive ordnance team completed its analysis. There's something strange going on. There's something fishy in the neighborhood. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and this is also at the same time as we just reported over on our sister channel, Marfoogle News, about the embassy there having a major explosion happen. The Israeli embassy there in India. So we've got two things that are sort of pulling them into this conflict, and now they're putting out their own navy ships, and they're getting more involved. So that's a very interesting twist or change or escalation, if you want to call it that, from a potentially a major superpower or large power and large influential country.
Yeah, it's very strange what's going on all around the world now. And then exclusive, Tesla robot attacks an engineer at company's Texas factory during violent malfunction, leaving, quote, a trail of blood and forcing workers to hit emergency shutdown button. When I first saw this, I thought that this was a Babylon Bee thing. You know, I thought this was like some fake article, but so if you're brand new to our channel, which again, it looks like we have a couple new subscribers here. Thank you guys. Thank you, Overwatch Protective Services. Thank you, Mexican Johnny. Thank you, Nicole Marchland and Crystal 98110. Thank you guys for subscribing just now. If you're new, then you probably haven't seen us talk about this before, but we've talked about how, you know, we've talked about robots possibly attacking humans because it's been said in, you know, fictions for decades and decades and decades since films were out. They have talked about robots attacking humans. Now we are at a point where, you know, life is imitating art. You have all of these kind of stories that are coming out right now. It's like something straight out of a movie. It's like we're in a bad B movie. And we're in a bad B movie, and you know that they're going to run up the stairs instead of out the front door. A Tesla engineer was attacked by a robot during a brutal and malfunction at the company's Giga Texas factory near Austin. It says 2 witnesses watched in horror as their fellow employee was attacked by the machine designed to grab and move freshly cast aluminum car parts. It says the robot had pinned the man, who was then programming software for 2 disabled Tesla robots nearby before sinking its metal claws into the worker's back and arm, leaving a trail of blood along the factory surface. The incident, which left the victim with an open wound on his left hand, was revealed in a 2021 injury report filed to Travis County and federal regulators, which has been reviewed by DailyMail.com. While no other robot-related injuries were reported to regulators by Tesla at the Texas factory in either 2021 or 2022, the incident comes amid years of heightened concerns over the risks of automated robots in the workplace. So one thing about this is, especially with all of the crazy stuff that is going on, with now we just covered last week that the first McDonald's that is going to be completely run by automated robots. You have another restaurant in California opening up that's going to be completely run by AI and robots. When you get into a situation where you have human beings directly next to robots, it's one thing to have like a little kind of roller derby RC car thing that drives people food, but it's another thing when you have a pneumatic arm that could, take somebody and basically break them in half. That's exactly what happens at especially car factories. They have got some pretty crazy pneumatic arms. But just imagine, they are saying that the Tesla bot, the new Tesla bot, is going to be out in the next year, or at least that they're going to have in the next couple years. Tesla bots are going to be a thing. These Tesla bots are, going extremely fast as far as their development goes. And now they have the bipedal versions. Well, they're also working on other robots that would directly be able to stand in for people, not only in factories, but every other kind of job, from pilot to plumber. It will be covered, from truck driver to what was the craziest one we covered was they've already replaced loggers. They even have a machine slash quadrupedal machine that can basically do what 10 loggers could do in a day. It could do it in an hour. Dex, as far as when you saw the headline, you probably did a double take, huh?
Oh yeah, sure. At first I thought it was, I was wondering when it happened. I was also wondering which robot, because they have tons of robotics that have been deployed in the factory. It's not just them, like robotics or as you call them, pneumatic arms and other types of automation have been around in the auto industry for a long time. But they're getting much more advanced, and certainly factories like giga factories, which are recently constructed, are going to have the most current, most high tech, most automated, and or potentially even have capabilities of AI built into them, where they can do more and more things. And also questioned, was this also one of the other bots that they're building, like the bipedal bot that was walking around. So but yeah, I think it turns out it's probably a different bot. It's probably one of the larger bots that's in the factory that's moving big things around. But still, nonetheless, like there was a worker working to repair one, and it's getting picked up by another and smashed around. That's not a good action. And I don't even know how somebody would be put in that position, and how that bot could actually do that. But apparently, these types of injuries and things are going to be probably reported a lot more in the future as we continue to interact with this type of mechanical situation. And probably even it's going to get even scarier as we interact with more AI based bots that are doing things on their own as opposed to doing, simple tasks they've been programmed to do.
Yeah, think about when they end up having something like this that's driven by AI. I mean, this entire factory could be turned into a nightmare. By the way, K. Parker Fraser, thank you for gifting a membership. I appreciate that. Bible Talk 777, thank you for doing that as well. Thank you, and thank you guys. Appreciate it. And second North Korean nuclear reactor appears to be operational. Kind of crazy fast how we just covered the first one, and now they're already talking about the second. A second North Korean nuclear reactor may have reached criticality, the world's atomic watchdog has warned, amid rising concerns it could be used to produce weapons-grade fuel. The UN's International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, has observed increased activity and a strong water outflow from the light water reactor's cooling system since mid-October. The developments indicate that the reactor at North Korea's Yongbyon nuclear complex, the reclusive state's main facility of its kind, is operational and has become a second potential source for plutonium for its nuclear warheads. Rafael Mariano Grassi, the IAEA director, said that the discharge of warm water is indicative that the reactor has reached criticality. I think that's how criticality, meaning its nuclear chain reaction is self-sustaining. But he added that the agency could not confirm its operational status without direct access. So are they building the fuel for their own nukes? Are they, passing it off to somebody else? Are they even doing it? Who knows? We don't know who to frickin' trust at this point anymore. And especially with North Korea. North Korea is such a kind of up in the air thing. And then the right to protest is under threat in Britain, undermining a pillar of democracy. So one other thing we have really been watching for the last 5 years is how Britain and other places in Europe are really, really getting absolutely crazy restrictive. They are losing rights faster than us, I believe. As far as, now there's tons of videos out there of folks over there. Basically, they post a meme and then they have police show up at their door. Now, this happens here as well. But as far as Dex, is it the Digital Protection Act, or what was the? If anybody in chat is over there, what is that act called that they that allows them to do that?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but they definitely have some other acts that they have in place that seem to have, gotten a little bit more stringent on how they can go after things that people are saying, especially on social media. But now it seems like it's going a little further. And yeah.
Yeah, chat, by the way, you can always chime in if you're over there and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Then make sure to chime in for us. Digital Services Act. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So somebody else said Maritime Admiralty Act. I don't know what that is, but seems interesting. Xi Jinping, great leader of the American Communist Party. UK is FUBAR, can be jailed for expressing yourself online in public, etc. And now large knives are also banned. Are you kidding? Is it? I feel like Dex, didn't we cover a story where they were talking about something like that? About 2 years ago when that guy took out his wife, by take out, I mean, took off the top part of her in public. It might have even been a stranger. That would be insane, because I have joked constantly, like, knives kill people, but are you going to ban knives? A fork could take somebody's life. Are you going to ban forks? And I've always said that if you took away weapons, if you took away bang bangs, people are just going to go the next step down. If you then take that away, then people will make concoctions and make big booms. I mean, like, there's no way to completely stop people from hurting each other. People will always find a way. Rocks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because, I mean, the fact that you can't have anything now at this point, like, what can you protect yourself with?
Well, they say nobody else will have one. BS. The criminals will have one. Right? It's not like the criminals are going to go, oh, it's against the law to buy this black market gun. I don't think that's how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's just crazy. And then Russia and China are on the brink of a military alliance that could overwhelm the U.S. Well, no duh. We've talked about this for years now, and especially when they did the sanctions on Russia, it's kind of an obvious thing that they got closer. They said that they were no limit partners, and now they're closer than ever. Most people including myself, I believe that Russia is just kind of a pawn of China's, and Russia is going to be, always going to be number two to China. But we don't, I guess we'll find out. For decades, the military might of the U.S. was unchallenged after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. The U.S. was the world's only military superpower, with its forces deployed all over the world to defend allies and deter aggression. But as 2023 draws to a close, conflicts are flaring across the world, and Russia and China are growing increasingly aggressive in their shared ambition to topple the U.S. as the world's biggest power. Their authoritarian leaders, Xi Jinping of China and Vladimir Putin of Russia, are seeking to exploit global instability to damage the U.S. and its allies, say analysts, and are drawing closer to forming a military alliance that poses the biggest threat to the U.S. that it has faced in decades. It says, quote, "It is clear that the two states see themselves as military partners and that this partnership is growing deeper and more experienced, even if it is not a formal alliance in the Western sense." Now, I talked about the different simulations, and this, by the way, these are analysts. These are people that get paid to do this. These are people that are experts, that are quoted by Forbes and all of this. They're saying what we've said for 5 years now. Like, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to have a PhD to see that it's not good if Russia and China get together. But not only that, that it's actually a big threat. I have covered different studies and different simulations, including articles from the Pentagon saying that they did simulations, and the only way that the U.S. was losing in these simulations, the only scenarios that actually entailed them losing, was a scenario where they were fighting on more than one front. If they were fighting a two-front war with China and Russia, that's where the simulations showed them losing. Now, it even showed them winning in those solutions too, but the majority of all of our losses in all of our war games came when we were fighting not only China, but also Russia. Obviously, China and Russia have been our enemy for a long time, as far as back when Daniel Ellsberg, the gentleman who wrote, Nuclear War Planner, Doomsday, a Nuclear War Planner, in that book, he talked about how back then, back in the day, when during the Cold War, they had people going into an office calmly planning on how to take out every single person, not only in Russia. They said there was no plan to wipe out Russia that didn't also include wiping out every single big major city in China as well. Back then they did this, right? Well, it was always considered that in a situation like that, we could take on both. Well, now that has changed. Not only do they have bigger armies, they have bigger, as far as backstops, they also have this kind of advantage if they are together. Now, China's studies and their war games actually show them winning. They reported it, and so does Russia. So all three countries had all of their war games and simulations and even had supercomputers combing through it. And all of them said the same thing, that the only way the U.S. would lose is if it fought China and Russia together. What is happening? Russia and China are getting together. So people talk about this stuff like it's fear-mongering, but this is just what's happening right now. These are facts, and facts don't care about feelings. It's like right now, China and Russia are meeting so often, it's almost like, they're meeting for golf every morning. It's crazy. And now it's getting further and further evident that they are going to be incredibly close from now on. It says in conflicts across the world, the rivalry between the U.S. and Russia and Chinese partnership is playing out. China has provided Russia with vital economic and diplomatic support in its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, while the U.S. has provided billions in aid to Kiev. In the Middle East, Russia and China have aligned themselves with Iran and criticized Israel's attack on the Strip and destroyed the Tehran-backed terror group Hamas. The U.S., meanwhile, has provided military aid and diplomatic support for Israel. China, say experts, is likely watching the outcome of the Ukraine war carefully for signs of how the world would react should it act on plans to seize control of Taiwan. That's been said since the beginning, and who knows? I wonder I think they're more concerned about how Taiwan reacts. And as they draw closer, China and Russia are increasingly coordinating their military resources. The Russia-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership of Coordination for a New Era has always been about military power, said Ward. Over the past 2 years, Russia and China have launched joint naval exercises in the Sea of Japan. Russia has handed China submarine technology that could give it an edge in a war with U.S. allies in the Pacific. And the leaders have pledged to cooperate on high-tech weapons development, Putin said in November. Russia has also sold China Su-25 jets, Mi-17 helicopters, and S-400 air defense systems, something that they did not possess 10 years ago. Though the leaders have not signed a formal military alliance, such moves should be of huge concern to the U.S. and its allies, Charles Machida wrote in a recent article for the Center of European Policy Analysis. A full-scale China-Russia alliance would present the United States with a threat unlike any it has confronted since the end of the Cold War. So now they are calling for the U.S. to essentially address this, right? Well, there's been a lot being done behind the scenes, and you have people like Mike Minahan, who leads the cargo for the entire military. I think that's Air Mobile Command or something, saying to his employees and to his soldiers, "Hey guys, get ready for war with China by 2027 or by 2025." And you've seen a lot of the actions being taken. You've seen a lot of the Space Force generals saying, we're at war in space already. Like, all of these things are already going down. And now you fast forward to now, China has its own space station. China has its own space weapons. We are currently in a space war right now, if we are to believe even 1% of what they're saying. And of course, they're saying 99% of it is saying that this is happening. This is not going in a good direction, to say the least. Dex, do you want to talk about the scientist fears zombie deer disease could spread to humans?
Well, here we go again, right? Haven't we talked about this one a couple years back? But it seems like this is coming back into the news, and they're worried now, especially as they talk about things like zoonotic propensities, which is when you have a disease that can jump from animals to humans. Whether or not this may at some point become one of those. It's not the case at the moment. Some are saying it won't ever happen, but this thing that has an official term called chronic wasting disease, or CWD, it's obviously showing up again, and is showing up in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming in November. And they talk about it in relation to other types of diseases like BSE or mad cow, which was an outbreak that was in Britain that things got chaotic as it had spillover events potentially from livestock to people, and they wonder would this happen? Is this one of the things that could happen with this chronic wasting disease? So I guess of course the experience is these deer look super lethargic, almost zombie like. So and they're basically wasting away. It would probably be a horrible event for humans to pick up something like that, and I guess that's certainly a concern if it ever does make that jump.
Now, Dex, I was trying to find it real quick. I was trying to find on our website the DHS, the ask for small businesses to develop. There was 8 things on that list. I forget what it was called. It was the Department of Homeland Security acquisition or something team, but that list of things, it included the mass fatality tracking system. The DHS came up with this list of things that they needed developed, and at the time we were covering it, they said we need all of this by December 25th, and this was a couple of years ago. They were like, hey, we need you to submit your patents and your ideas and how to make these things by this date, and it was a very short time period. And they were asking these smaller companies, smaller businesses, but these are not any regular small businesses. This isn't ma and pa shops. These are places that make very specialized items for the military. So they were asking them for mass fatality tracking systems. They were asking for portable devices that could actually detect diseases with a zoonotic propensity. Those words exactly. As far as they were looking for rapidly deployable checkpoints. If you don't know what that is, like something that could be folded out and make a checkpoint. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, that list or the actual article from the DHS, Small Business Innovation Research link is in Screener if you want it.
Okay, perfect. So let's see here. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hold on, let me close out this. Oh yeah. Check this out. This is directly from DHS.gov. So this, when there's stuff like this, so if you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe right now. We follow all of the different releases. We follow all of the different press releases. We follow all of, we also have the whole Foogle fam watching for patents for things that are coming out. We actually found before Ring camera added facial recognition to their cameras, and before they when they filed the patent for that, we came out with stories way before, just because the Foogle fam and different people in our community were watching these things. But we personally check all of these releases. We check all of the media releases. So we are constantly updating you guys on this. And this was one of the freakier ones. Now, over the years, we've covered a lot of these. This was a news release. This was November 22nd, 2021. So this was during CV. DHS announces Small Business Innovation Research Pre-Solicitation. Now, if you first saw this, you'd be like, oh, okay, who cares? Wait until you see this list. Now, anybody that's old school Foogle fam that's been here for a couple of years, you'll be like, oh yeah, I totally remember that. So these were the things that they really wanted to get developed and get right away. And they said, by the way, small businesses have until 5 p.m. Eastern on December 14, 2021. This was put out in November. So they were giving them a month to come out with the ideas and the stuff for this. They gave them a month deadline, less than a month, 3 or 4 weeks. They were like, hey, we need you to come up with this stuff. Automated artificial intelligence distress alerts and monitoring. Do you guys know what that's used for? That's like if things go down, and this is my take on it. Listen to what it's saying. Automated artificial intelligence distress alerts and monitoring. So if there's no human at the keyboard, that AI would basically monitor the situation and give alerts. That's if there's nobody at the wheel. Okay, that's an alert that would go out if there's nobody at the wheel. That's a freaky one. Rapidly deployable countermeasures at protected perimeters and structures. That's basically rapidly deployable checkpoints. Non-invasive and real-time detection of counterfeit microelectronics. Now, back then, people thought, oh, are these the kind of, chips that might be in your hand or something like that? Or people thought that it might be something that was implanted inside you or something related to what everybody was getting back then. Broadband push-to-talk interoperability platform. So something that does not rely on the cell phone towers to talk across the United States. Think about that. Cell towers are down. A broadband push-to-talk interoperability. People are like, oh, well, they already have that. They wanted something that went further, stronger communications when there are no communications. A step towards agent-agnostic detection of biological hazards. Streamline airport checkpoint screening for limited mobility passengers. Mass fatality tracking system. Mass fatality tracking system. A military guy, back when we first covered this, says, oh, they already have a mass fatality tracking system. Okay, so why do they need a new one? Why do they need a better one? And I don't know what current version they have. Like, what does that even mean, right? That's if a lot of people are passed away in a short amount of time. Next generation semiconductor-based spectroscopic personal radiation detectors. And there were designs that we actually covered a press release from one of these conferences that did tech. They may even have very shortly, and they might even already have this, a device that you plug into the bottom of a USB-C or a lightning connector on a phone, and be able to detect these things. Field forward diagnostics for select agent list toxins. Wonder why they would need that. And then wearable detector for aerosolized chemical threats. A wearable detector, like a smartwatch or a lapel, something on your body that could detect chemical threats. And from port side to pen side, low-cost detection / diagnostics for high consequence, transboundary, or nationally reportable animal diseases, particularly those with zoonotic propensity. Now, I know this is some older stuff, but this is really important. This is the kind of stuff that they're working on right now, along with all of the other drills, all of the other exercises we've shown you over the years. It's hard not to connect dots here of what, if you see what they're preparing for, you can kind of see behind the veil of what they are most likely seeing on their end. They don't tell us everything. They're not going to tell us all of this stuff publicly. They're not going to tell us about the threats. Heck, the world has probably ended 10 times in the last couple of years that they have somehow averted without us even knowing. They're not going to tell the public. They're not going to stop the stock market and have everybody freak out and go loot. No. They're going to try to fix it however way they can without letting people know. So, very crazy stuff. So with the whole zombie deer thing, something doesn't sit right with that either. And then Moses' parting of the Red Sea may not have been a miracle and could have been because of a meteorological phenomena, study suggests. You know what's so flippin' weird about this, Dex? Dex, can you look up Moses staff hack? This is something that just happened recently. This is very, very odd. This is like yesterday or the day before. And I'll try to find this now too. We have covered a lot of different stories that some of this may actually some of the stuff people believe has confirmed the Bible or confirmed stories, like they found.
Can you
go ahead?
Can you give me more? I'm trying to find what you're looking for. I got Moses staff hacked, but I'm not seeing anything recent.
Let me see.
Recent as in a few days.
Hold on. So they say that Israel just got attacked or hacked or had some sort of attack. So this is different stuff that has happened over. A group just attacked Israel because of what's going on over there, and they call themselves Moses' staff. So I just thought this was funny. The same day or the same 3 days that this is all happening, there's a story
it's a hacker
about
group.
Yeah, it's a hackers group called Moses' staff, and they're known as an Iranian hacker group, as they were first spotted in October. This is 7 months ago, so last year, right? So an Iranian hacker group known as Moses' staff just attacked Israel, and some were speculating that that Netanyahu was possibly taken to his bunker in the last couple days, that some big thing happened. Over the last week, we did have confirmation and coverage that 70% of the power was out in Israel. So there's been a lot of really big stuff going on. I just thought it was interesting that that right now there's a story about Moses parting of the Red Sea. I'm sure that somebody like Jacob Israel would get a kick out of this, and it will probably end up in one of his shows. But Moses' parting of the Red Sea may not have been a miracle and could have been because of a meteorological phenomena, study suggests. Now, they're always trying to explain away the Bible. We've actually covered both things. We've actually covered stories that somewhat confirm something happening in the Bible, like in the area that Sodom and Gomorrah, or ancient Sodom and Gomorrah, would have been. They actually found a layer of salt. Now, as you know, something happened in the Bible where they were all turned to a pillar of salt. Well, they believe, or their excuse for it was, that a meteor hit and instantly vaporized everybody in that area, and it essentially made a layer of salt on the ground. there was a wagon wheel or a coral that had grown in the shape of almost exactly in the shape, geometrically the same as a wagon wheel of like a chariot at the bottom of the Red Sea. So people were thinking this is, a chariot wheel sat down there and then the coral grew over it over thousands of years and you could still see the shape of the chariot wheel. So some people said that that was confirmation of that. Well, now it says Moses parting the Red Sea to allow the Israelites to escape the Egyptians may not have been a miracle after all. A new study suggests the parting of the Red Sea appears in the book of Exodus, the Old Testament of the Bible. It is the moment when Moses performs a miracle to allow the Israelites to escape from the Pharaoh's men who were in pursuit. But according to the University of Leicester's School of Biological Sciences, there were 4 natural occurrences which could explain the drying of the area. Why are they explaining this now, right? It says, writing in the journal Interdisciplinary Topics, they said, investigating into the methods in which the waters may have receded, allowing Moses to cross safely, may be dependent on having perfect conditions, but are still physically feasible events. Meteorological phenomena are known to be notoriously unpredictable and can lead to chaotic chains of event, leading to extreme phenomena which may have been viewed by bystanders as the parting of the sea. Whether a miraculous act of God or due to some of the unlikely coincidental phenomena discussed in this paper, the chance of parting is not 0. So, essentially, what they are saying, though, too, is that there is a chance that this is, well, they're also saying that there's proof that this could happen, which is really quite a trip in itself. But it says a phenomenon called wind set down, in which strong and persistent wind can lower water levels in one area while causing water to build up downwind, could be the explanation. Wind speed would need to be considerable to keep water apart for an extended period, the team said. I would think that would be very shallow water, though. I would think that, you're not going to be parting a sea with wind, right? Unless it's wind from God. They had another one. It says, let's see here. Tidal resonance occurs when a sudden unexpected external input, such as extreme wind, excites one of the resonant modes of the local region of the Red Sea, leading to much more extreme low tide, exposing greater areas of the seabed. So I guess if that was in some sort of coincidence, right, or in accordance, Dex, go ahead.
Well, the thing I was thinking is this is, of course, science trying to, discredit or disprove things in the Bible, or in some regards, they're actually proving it, which is what you just said. What I look at this is more like they're just explaining how God made this happen. Moses asked, God performed, and whether he put tidal shifts, wind blowing in the correct direction, or whatever, it happened. Right? This is the explanation. And I don't know why it's like, oh, well, let's make this look bad for the Bible and good for science. I mean, I get it. There's always been this, not all scientists are like this, but a lot of scientists are very much, against religion and try to use it to disprove things that are in the religions, specifically Christianity. And Judaism. So I just I question it and sort of look at it more along the lines of, well, you're just explaining how he did it, not necessarily because they just say, oh, well, he raised the staff. Well, maybe he did raise the staff, but God's the one that actually probably made the water move in whatever way it needed to be done at the time.
Well, think about it. So scientists they cannot, if there's logically no reason or no possible way it could have happened, they just can't believe it, right? They have to see physical evidence. They looked into it and they tried to disprove it. They tried to say this is not physically possible. It's literally impossible. And they ended up finding several ways it was possible. So if it's just if it's a matter of wind, I'm pretty sure God can do that. If it's a matter of tides, I'm pretty sure he can do that too. But is it not a trip that they're now proving that the Red Sea could have been parted? I mean, even with science, they're proving it could have happened. So I think it's a trip. And of course, people are going to say, oh yeah, it just happened to be the same time that they were running from the Egyptians, right? Gosh, those are some lucky people, right? What a coincidence. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And by the way, thank your mods. Let's do a quick roll call. By the way, thank you, Schaefer Girl. Thank you. Says Marfoogle family community is the best. Danish Girl, much love to everyone. Thank you, Danish Girl. And again, thank you, Chanel Bevaliqua. Didn't even write anything. Thank you guys. Thank you for both of you for sticking around for years on end. There's been a lot of Foogle fam that have been here for years and years and years. If you are new to the channel, highly recommend watching at least a few. It's really the community that makes us what we are, and it's a great place to go into, looking at the world and seeing really, you get like a Family Feud survey of what people are thinking about the MSM articles that are out right now. Are you the only one thinking the way you are? Probably not. And that's what is really great about this show is when we talk about some of the MSM that's out there, you get an instant feedback of what other people are thinking. And that is what's really awesome about having such a big chat. And then Stephen McMahon, thank you, says, off to work, stay salty, love y'all. Hey, well, thank you, Stephen McMahon. I appreciate that. And our Richard Koschmeider, thank you. And thank you guys for supporting there. And from the Bible Belt, Tennessee, that says, thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for your support this year. It is almost the next year. It's almost 2024. We're going to be heading into a really crazy year. Many of my friends and family believe that 2024 is the year that it's all going to, come to a head. I really hope that it is not, but my heart says that it is. And I really hope that everybody has, over these last 5 years or 6 years that we've been on, I hope that a lot of you have been getting ready. A lot of you have been doing it in a responsible fashion, saving up week by week, doing a little bit at a time. That is probably the best way to do it. And have extra food and extra water. And it doesn't have to be for the end of the world. We've never said that. Honestly, I don't think that even World War III is the end of the world. I think it's the start of a new one. And I hope that people have really heard what we've stated here, which is it is a responsible thing, not a crazy thing. Other countries in the world do not look at prepping as a crazy thing. They look at it as a responsible thing. You have insurance for your car, not because you know you're going to get in a car accident, because you think you may. You don't get, insurance on your phone because you know you're going to drop it, because you might, right? You don't get life insurance because, well, you're going to die, but because you may die in a weird way, right? Well, I don't understand why people don't think of food and water in the same way. It's really quite simple. If you don't have food and water and the slightest kind of regional, power outage, storm, earthquake happens, then you're going to be screwed. I've seen this time and time again. I've had Foogle family members in other states pick up my actual brother-in-law from Texas when they had that huge freeze because he wasn't prepped. He was on a business trip. He got stuck and he was in a hotel where it froze over the pipes and they had no water and electricity. So they legally could not let them stay there, even though they were like, you can't go anywhere. There's no transportation, no Uber, no bus, no nothing. But they legally would be sued if they kept them there. So they literally had to kick them out into freezing weather. A Foogle family member went and saved them. It's events like that Texas freeze that you should be prepared for. It's events like that where you should have extra food, you should have extra water. You should have extra, emergency blankets. You should have first aid kits. You should plan for every scenario. We only get one life, and I bet most of you want to live it out. So, stop being afraid. Don't be scared. Be prepared. And thank you guys for all of you that have stuck with us through thick and thin, through drama and not. Thank you, Schaefer Girl. Thank you so much. Again, Danish Girl. And thank you, Chanel Bevaliqua. Thank you guys. Before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go over and check out some of the food. This is a great opportunity. Make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/prep. This is one of the affiliates where, again, you can help our channel at the same time as prepping. These affiliates, as much as people don't like the ads, these affiliates support YouTubers. They support our way of life. Again, it is a very good way to help us because, again, we're not treated the same in this niche. If you haven't noticed, if you look up any news story, you're going to see 40 CNNs and MSNBCs before you see any of our stuff. So this is a great way to help us, again, be able to support ourselves, protect ourselves. We don't have a multi-channel network. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We have you guys. All of the products that we have as affiliates are all products that we 100% believe in or have a exact reason why we are recommending it. All of the products that we have, most of them we've been with for years. We don't rotate them out every Tuesday. Most of them we have actually recommended for years. EMP Shield, Energy, as far as Patriot Supply, and of course now Harvest Right and others. These are all things that we believe in that will actually help you. So make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/prep. This is all freeze-dried food that will last 25 plus years. Again, that's 25 plus years that you will have this and be able to break it open and eat it. It's easy to store, and it is also something that can really come in clutch during a storm, during a power outage, and even during, something like if we have extreme inflation. You'd rather, open a bag of freeze-dried food rather than go spend $150 on an egg. That sounds crazy, but talk to any Venezuelan and they'll tell you it's possible. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. All right, Dex, do you want to let us know how we can get to the website?
Well, outside of typing marfooglenews.com into your web browser, you can also open the show notes link that's down below in the description. If you do that, it'll take you right to this page. If you go to the website on your own, just look for the thumbnail for today's show. It'll take you to the web page that has all of the information that we've covered, and all of the links and sources are right there for you. Again, the show notes link down below in the description, the easiest way to find it.
So all of the sources are at your fingertips. Next time, you can actually grab a tablet, read along. You can read back retrospectively if we skipped something or if we didn't read the entire article. That is all at your fingertips at marfooglenews.com. Also, make sure to sign up for alerts. They are there as well. You can sign up for alerts right when we go live, and you can sign up for our email list. Make sure to also go over and check out all of our mods over at marfooglenews.com/friends. We can do a roll call / shoutro here. If you don't know what a shoutro is, it's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Thank you, Dex. Appreciate you. Love you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Close your blinds, only when people die they will ask why. When they come you will run, but you cannot hide. Gave them AI, gave them satellites. When the robots come you will close your blinds, only when people die they will ask why. You will run, but you cannot hide. AI gave them satellites. In the lights.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do a song for Chanel Bevalikwa and Danish Girl. And we're gonna play the Christmas video here in a second, so stick around. It's gonna be fun. Every day on what you choose, I say, hello, I'm up, baby, tap, down on, give it on, dip it on, dip on, dip it on. Whether you've been with us for 5 years or 5 days,